A busy week for the Chief of Police. Town councils to discuss the fiscal 14 capital improvement plan, and local agriculture takes center stage at the State House. These stories and more on this episode of Barnstable Today. It's Tuesday, April 2nd, 2013. I'm Sarah Colvin. Chief of Police Paul McDonald will be joining Superintendent of Schools Dr. Mary Chakowski and other public safety officials this Friday at Mass Maritime Academy for a detailed tabletop exercise. The chief has more.
We're just getting ready for our tabletop exercise on Friday morning at Mass Maritime. That's going to be a great learning experience for us. It'll be able to test and evaluate all our plans and our response plans that we have in place. And it'd be good to sit at the table because you're probably going to have, every department. It's unusual to have everybody sitting around unless you actually have the event. So this will be a great learning experience for us.
That exercise will be held this Friday morning at Mass Maritime in Buzzards Bay. School and public safety officials will be led through an exercise simulating a school shooting. Town Council recently passed more problem property ordinances. Chief McDonald tells us he will hold a seminar later this month for landlords and real estate agents.
We have a informational seminar on April 23rd regarding the recently two ordinances that were passed by the town of Barnstable, the problem property ordinance and the anti-noise ordinance. And we want to get together with all the major stakeholders and landlords in the town and the real estate agents and just have an informational seminar about the new ordinances and let them know what our expectations are, and then we can hear and find out what their expectations are and the level of enforcement. And of course, we're looking for voluntary compliance. We've found in the past that these type of seminars are very informative. We do it every year with all the license holders before the season starts, so we thought it'd be a good idea to get all the real estate agents in and the landlords in, and just so we're all working from the same page. So I think that'll be
that seminar is scheduled for 10 a.m. Tuesday, April 23rd.
Here at the BPD at 10:30 in the morning. We want to get everybody in. I think everybody's out there thinking that it's going to be some type of enforcement tool, and that's not what we're looking for. We're just looking for voluntary compliance, but we want everybody to make sure they're aware of it too. I think it's there's a lot of good administrative steps in those ordinances that I like. When you rent some property out, a copy of the ordinance is going to be given to the leasee, which I like. Us contacting the landlords when there's a violation. I think that's a good idea.
And at Thursday's council meeting, town council will vote to accept a $10,000 grant for the police to help curb underage drinking in Barnstable.
Underage drink grant. It's strictly for enforcement. It's a little bit different. We're going to focus in on late night parties, underage drinking parties, on the beaches, around the watersheds. There will probably be a couple of sting operations set up at a couple of package stores, not the nightclubs. It'll be more directed towards the package stores where you might have adults buying liquor for minors and stuff like that. So there'll be some reverse things set up during the summer months.
Town Council meets Thursday at 7 p.m. in the second floor hearing room right here at Town Hall. Well, local fruits, vegetables, livestock, aquaculture, and more take center stage at the State House today. Cape and Island State Senator Dan Wolf talks about this year's Ag Day on Beacon Hill.
Remind everybody that our food does not necessarily come from a completely impersonal place in distant lands. That the old model of food production in the middle of the country or in the wintertime getting food from far away it does not necessarily lead to good nutrition and doesn't make sense from an environmental standpoint. What's happened over the last number of years, not that we haven't always had a vibrant farming industry in Massachusetts, because we have, but there's been a resurgence of a consciousness that growing local is good in a lot of different ways. And so it really is a celebration of the history of farming and agriculture in Massachusetts, but also the bright future that many of us think there is and that many of us are working towards. And again, I would be remiss if I didn't also include aquaculture in this, because there's going to be some of our great shellfish growers that are going to be in the State House today.
Both expected a large crowd today in Boston.
My guess is, based on prior years, we're going to have between 100 and 200 growers. And again, as I said, we'll have our aquaculture growers from the Cape, as well as some food and meat producers on the Cape as well. The meat production on the Cape is a huge business. And then from across the state, we'll also have dairy products, meat products, and grown fresh products. So it's just going to be a really good day of diversity and fun, too. And again, you go up hungry and you come back full.
The senator says the legislature plays an important role in helping local growers succeed.
One of the things that's happened over the last number of years is layers of regulation have been put on our growers and on our small farmers that almost make it cost prohibitive for compliance. And one of the things the legislature does in conjunction with the Department of Agriculture here in Massachusetts is to make sure that the playing field is as level as possible so that our small growers don't have regulatory burdens that are really put in place to oversee the big food producers, but that make it prohibitive for the small food producers. So we look at regulatory carve-outs. We look perhaps at a different regulatory burden for the small growers, not to reduce the safety and the quality of the food, to make sure that it is safe for those who consume it, but just understanding that if we try to have one-size-fits-all laws and regulations, it really doesn't allow for those who are trying to grow on 1 acre size lots or below, or some of our small aquaculture growers. So that's really, I think, in a nutshell, what we're trying to do is just to make sure there's room across the spectrum for all of those who want to participate in the food industry.
Agriculture Day took place today at the State House in Boston. Well, taking a look again at Town Council's agenda for this week, new Director of Public Works Dan Santos says his department has a number of items ready to go.
Actually, we have over 30 projects in the DPW world, the capital improvements plan for fiscal year 14. And starting over at the solid waste facility, we're looking to replace the what people know as the garbage truck, which is that's a red one that we have, which is the compactor that goes to the various town facilities and picks up the trash there and brings it to the transfer station. The one we have there is well beyond its useful life and requires repairs on a very frequent basis. Also, at the solid waste transfer facility, we're looking for a truck that moves the compactors around. If you go there, if you have a sticker and you bring your household trash there, where you place that trash, those are the big containers, and they need to be moved around the yard, so that's something we need to replace. We're looking at continuing our work in Town Hall, where we renovated part of the clerk's office last year. And as viewers may recall, over the past few years, there was extensive exterior renovations that occurred there. We're going to be moving into the stairwells and the public spaces of the building, which are in deplorable condition. And that's primarily from before we did the exterior work. There was a lot of moisture and water that got into the building through the deteriorated masonry. And what happened there was it rotted all the wood that's on the inside of the masonry and the drywall. And so we're going to be replacing that over the next couple of years and then move on to other parts of the interior of the building.
Roads, Santos says, are also a big part of this year's plan.
Every year, the council appropriates $3.25 million to improving the public roads to make sure that they don't deteriorate to where the cost would be astronomical to deal with them down the road. So that's an excellent program. We're going to be doing some repairs on the Bumps River Bridge, which needs some joints sealed up and realignment, some guardrails and handrails replaced. We're looking at design of a parking lot at the senior center, where that facility, which is very greatly used, just doesn't have enough parking. So we're going to be expanding that parking lot. Also, throughout the town, we'll be upgrading and repairing sidewalks and replacing guardrails that are damaged and broken, or in some cases actually missing.
Well, Town Council meets Thursday night at 7 o'clock in the second floor hearing room here at Town Hall. You can view the full agenda online at town.barnstable.ma.us or stop by the Town Council office on the second floor of Town Hall and pick one up. Well, be sure to head online to barnstableiforum.com today to share your thoughts and ideas for moving the town forward. New topics are posted and ready for your input. We're talking about Barnstable by bike, life on Cape Cod, the arts, and more. Head to barnstableiforum.com today to share your ideas. With Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Colvin.